Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. This one is going out to Big Country Outlaw, um, who asked about being more assertive when you're out on the street. So, got kind of an interesting story on that, a little bit on my background, and uh, and yeah, we're going to get into that right now. All right, welcome back to In Pursuit 360 again. Here we go. Big Country Outlaw is trying to get into law enforcement and asked a question about how do you be more assertive, right? Um, so I can just tell you from my experience, some people are naturally outgoing. They have that personality. They talk to people or whatever. Um, and the old school way of looking at personalities was most law enforcement officers are an A personality, right? They're they're assertive, they're out there, they're very commanding, and all this other stuff. But after years of study, so this is way back. They used that grading and stuff back in when did I start? 1993, right? A type personality, the boss guy. Well, then they came out with a new system called DISC, DISC, right? And each letter D, what is it, D, I, S, and C, right? Kind of gave you the idea of where your personality fell, right? And so when I took the DISC, I definitely was not an A type personality when I started. So the I wondered how I survived. I didn't really wonder, but I mean, I dealt with people and I did my job and I thought I was pretty good at it when I was working the street. Um, and I kept hearing about A type personality, and it's like that's not me. And then I got married, and then one day my wife actually told me, she's like, you know what? I can't believe that you do what you do. I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, you don't like conflict. When we start getting into arguments or whatever, it's like you always just say okay and let it go. And I thought about it, and I was like, huh, I'm not an A type personality. I don't like conflict at home. So how do I do my job? How am I able to do that? And and I kind of figured it out, but it wasn't until much later in my career, like year 15 or 16, when somebody introduced this DISC, right? Theory on personalities, where I kind of really scientifically, if you will, I understood what they were talking about. And so, yes, this is getting to being assertive, right? So, and it's not really being assertive. It's all about communication, to be quite honest with you. So, I was that kid in high school that I was an introvert. Didn't want to talk to anybody. Didn't want to talk to anybody new. My family moved around a lot. I entered my high school in the middle of my freshman year. I didn't know anybody. Meanwhile, the kids there had gone through elementary and middle school together. Now they're in high school together, and here I am, the new kid. Um, my mom didn't believe in letting me wear blue jeans and t-shirts, so I wore, I'm definitely aging myself, I wore corduroy pants and collared shirts every day to high school. Now, you tell me, I went to high school in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, back in the mid 80s. You tell me what the kids thought of a kid wearing corduroy pants and collared shirts and not jeans and t shirts in Georgia. Huh? What do you think? Yes, I was the outsider. Nobody wanted to be my friend. So I was an introvert. Came to English class, reading a story or something, and reading Romeo and Juliet, and everybody had a part. I didn't want to read mine out loud. Oh my God, everybody would hear my voice, right? Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stand up in front of the class and give a presentation. Yeah, I'm scared, right? I was an introvert. I didn't like that kind of stuff, and and now all of a sudden, here I am, a cop on the street, putting my nose in everybody else's business and telling them what to do, and I was kind of good at it. Where the hell did that come from? There was something about, number one, it's what I wanted to do. I mean, it was just my passion. It was my calling. It's where I needed to be, right? I put on that uniform, I put on the badge and the gun belt, and I was different. I was just somebody different. Now, there's a difference between being confident and being arrogant. I saw plenty of deputies or plenty of officers that put on that badge and that gun and they just thought they were the shit, right? And they got out there and they were a badass and they gave everybody trouble and they told them what to do and get down and do this now and rah, 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 right? Ask them, tell them, make them was the old adage. Me, I was ask them and then talk to them for a bit and explain to them why. And it worked. It worked really well. I had the confidence. I knew the law. I knew my policies. I knew my procedures. I knew what I could and couldn't do. I knew my constitutional law. I knew when I, make sure I wasn't going to violate somebody's rights. I knew all that. I was good to go. And so what if it took me an extra 5 minutes to get me somebody in cuffs if they went willingly? I was really good at it. Good with my mouth. Talking. Not anything else. Y'all be careful. Don't go there. Okay? My mom always said I should have been an attorney because I could talk really well. And so I took that out on the street and I applied it. Don't worry about being assertive, right? It's not necessarily assertive. It's confidence. Be confident in yourself. You put on that uniform, I'm telling you, there's something that comes over you that you put yourself into a position where you're sticking your nose into somebody else's life. It's somebody else's life. And you're telling them, you can't do this, or yes, you can, and you need to go, and you can stay, and no, the dog has to stay here. You can't take the dog with you. That's a civil issue. Get out of the house, right? And you can do that and be confident. It's not assertive, it's confident. There you go. Confidence in the knowledge that you have gained and that you have made sure that you have studied so that when you're speaking to someone, you know exactly what you're saying. It's when you have doubts that people will question you. If you know exactly what you can do, exactly what you can say, and the actions that you can take, nobody can question you. No one. Doesn't matter the situation that you're in. I've had plenty of drunks. I've had plenty of assholes. I've had plenty of pissed off people. Take your pick. And I take that extra 5 minutes to make sure I explain to them so that they understand. Sir, you understand that in the Commonwealth of Virginia, it says that once I establish a primary aggressor, I must, not may, there's no option here. I must make an arrest once a primary aggressor has been identified. I understand that she slapped you, but that did not give you the right to punch her, right? So because the way this whole thing went down, you should have been able to step back and you could have called us, but you didn't. You punched her instead. So the way this whole thing ended up working out, you have now become the primary aggressor because you didn't step away. So I have to place you under arrest. I don't have a choice. So come on with me. We'll give you 3 days away from the house to cool down. This is how things are going to work out. All right? So you understand how this is going to work now. Okay. All right. So do me a favor. I don't have any choice here. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. And they would do it. And they would do it. Why? Because I knew the law. I knew the law. I knew my policies. I knew my procedures. I knew what I needed to do. I didn't have to be a butthead, right? I didn't have to be a coward because I was armed with knowledge. I was armed with knowledge, right? They tell you, oh, go to college, and knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is just as much power in law enforcement as it is anywhere else. So you're asking about being assertive. It's not necessarily assertive. Once your confidence is up, you pay attention in the academy, listen to your FTO, gain knowledge from these calls that you go on, and you see these more experienced officers or deputies deal with these situations, and pull that into the way you do things and build your knowledge base. The more confident you are, the more assertive you can be. It's not a matter of just being a badass. It really isn't. There are a lot of badasses that have had rotten careers in law enforcement. Okay? It's the people that use their brains that are successful. They're the ones that have long careers. They're the ones that make it over 20 years. Okay? So it's not a matter of being assertive. It's a matter of having the knowledge to know what to do. All right. So make sure you gain the knowledge. Knowledge will take care of the assertiveness. Okay? It's confidence. Confidence is the big deal in this job. Okay? So anyway, thanks again. Tuning in for In Pursuit 360. Thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell for the next video. We'll see you next time, and always be safe out there.